This is Reverend Don Lewis, and with me is Reverend Mary Hawk, and welcome to the greatest ever Pagan Super Show Extravaganza. And tonight, our guest is Her Grace, the Archpriestess, Sir Eboni Nash, head of the Order of Civil Knights, among various other distinctions. And we're going to have a fascinating interview. Mary, take it away.
Welcome, Reverend Ebony. I'm so glad you could join us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, tell us a little bit or a lot, what is the mission of the Order of Civil Knights?
So, the Order of the Civil Knights is a community service order, and the hope that I have in my mind with this order is to help fill in gaps where other forms of resources and programs don't necessarily reach, not to any of those that are left behind. Fault is just sometimes the system out in society just doesn't catch everybody. And being someone that has been through that a multitude of times in life, I felt called to give back. This is my way of paying it forward. And so it is my hope that through this chartered order, my plan is to specialize in gathering and distributing the most needed resources and information to those in our tradition, in the pagan community, and further beyond, anybody that needs help at all. So that is our mission.
Wonderful.
Yes. So this is an order within the Corellian tradition, but from what you're saying, it could service anyone who is in need of help.
Right. It can service anyone in need of help, and anyone can also join the order. It is a Corellian chartered order. We do have Corellian members, but you don't have to be Corellian in order to join if you feel that you want to help, if you have skills that you think you want to use. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be pagan even if you want to have some place that you can feel like that you can give, because it's also catching people who don't also have something that they can do to help in their community, but have the will and have the drive, but just maybe not a sense of direction of what to do. So that's something else that we hope to do as well, is not only help the community, but help others who want to help the community, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And what are some of the specifics of ways you want to help in various communities?
So one of the things that I have is a little bit of a structure. Um, as I'm going, I'm kind of learning more, so the sections that I have will change. But there's basically four sections at the moment, which is health and safety. Um, so things with health and safety would be like basic first aid, getting to a point of teaching other people in our community first aid skills, so that there's more of that around, just in general, having those types of things available when we have big events. We have all sorts of festivals everywhere all year long. And, one of our members actually, this is something that she's noticed over the years, is that there's not a lot of emphasis on, having a first aid. Like, what do we do if somebody gets hurt? I mean, we all have our inner instincts and the things that we think that we'll do in that moment, but sometimes it helps to have just a little bit of a structure with that, so that you can have something to base, to go on. Because it's a stressful time if you're in an emergency. So you don't want to have to think about that on the spot. So that's part of one of the things that we want to emphasize with that, or even just like basic skills that we can all have anywhere, not just in pagan events or just in special events, but just out in the street. You just happen to see something happen. You're like, oh my God, let me help. You have those kinds of skills. Our second department is department, for lack of a better word, mental health information and resources. So, Lady Pamela Griffith has been working really, really hard on a particular set of PowerPoints that talk about mental health, ways to recognize that, what you can do if you have issues and you don't know where to start to address them, or if you're someone who knows somebody with an issue that maybe they need some help and you don't necessarily have those resources or know what to look for or where to go. She's been setting up these PowerPoints that I'm going to make into a video and put up on an eventual website that I would like to have of basic information that we can all, have access to. Um, and also, other clergy members. I'm hoping, as we grow and have more members of clergy, having just like maybe a database of a sort so that there are multitudes of ways to reach out, because, we can only do so many things in the tradition ourselves. But if we as a group can, lend our resources in that way, like, especially if someone's just like really just at their wits' end and just, I don't know where to go, I don't know who to talk to, I can't talk to people in my, someone in my neighborhood or someone in my community, because like maybe you're not in a community that you can feel comfortable talking about certain things, or especially if it's spiritually related, maybe you're having issues with that, or people, all sorts of things that can be happening. And so maybe having multitudes of people that we can, occasionally reach out and talk to, that's something that I hope to build as well. The third is financial and legal resources. We all know, as much as we want to give and do all of the things that we love, spiritually speaking or not, money has to be involved. And one of the
Yes.
things that we hope to do is get better educated on that sort of thing. So having resources where okay, how do you budget? What do you do if you're building a temple or if you're building an organization of any sort? You need to know these things. These aren't things that we can just avoid simply because we're spiritually inclined. At the end of the day, we're still in a society that requires these things of us. And if we don't know that, that's where I feel like we can get in trouble. And we can be doing absolutely nothing wrong, but they don't know that, or the government or whoever it is, you just never know. So having financial information and knowing how do your books work, how does money transactions work, how, who gets what documentation you need to have of such things, that type of stuff. On the same scale, we also know the world that we live in, and it's good to know what legal um information you need to know. What are your rights as a person of clergy? What are your rights as, in any situation? And especially with the climate that we live in, we know that we just saw about all of the codes and everything with
Yes.
the military. So I feel like this section is almost just as important, if not more in some ways right now, because of those types of things.
Hmm.
Because we need to know, okay, so if as our rights are trying to be taken from us, what do we actually have? And what can we do, in those parameters? How do we navigate all of that? Because it's so much, because it's just, there's so many things and it changes all the time. So I'm hoping to get more people with legal expertise, which we do actually have a member who has some legal expertise. So that's something that I want to build there. And then the fourth section, which I also say is equally as important, but sometimes not as important as the legal and financial, but still important, is basic needs and supplies. We got to eat. We got to make sure that we have the clothes that we need. We got to make sure that we have, one thing for me, I'm a big meteorology fan. And if I didn't do music or if I didn't do any of the stuff that I'm doing now, I would have been a meteorologist. So when we hit severe weather time, I am like, okay, where's my go bag? Where's this stuff? And that's something that people don't think about. But I want to, like, especially if people in need, they're worried about making sure they have food, but I also want to make sure that you don't blow away, so like having go bags for for spring and wintertime, because wintertime is also important, making sure people have gloves, have scarves, socks, underwear, all those types of things. And also basic, gardening skills. So like, even if you don't have enough money for all the food, if you know how to grow some of it, that supplements your income. Like, that's a big thing for me right now, especially because my wife is, anybody that knows my wife, Abby Jade, she is garden central. And
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you, it has really helped the wallet a lot because especially at this time of year, we grow a bunch of stuff, and then what we can't use, we save, and we make into other things and store for the winter, and it really cuts down on food. And we all know how expensive food is getting these days. So, and with, shipping things and trying to get cargo here, you just don't know when things are going to arrive or not. So, like, just having some basic skills to just be able to help. It's not a immediate solution, but it is something that in time does help once you can build up on that. So those are the basic sections that I have at the moment. But of course, there's room for growth as we get bigger.
That is amazing.
Thank you. I try.
So,
So
what
that was.
projects has the order worked on recently?
So our first big project was at Lustration this past was that April? I believe it was April.
Yes.
Okay, so we did a big food drive. And it was awesome considering that we were all coming from different places. So we all brought food and donated. Sorry, that was my Alexa if you heard that. We all donated together as a group 40.4 pounds of food to, I believe it was Second Harvest, was
Mhm.
the local organization there. And that I'm hoping that every year, at Lustrations, I want to do something to that effect, whether it's a donation drive or, some sort of whatever particular organizations figure out the things that they need, and do something to help just that local, host city of the lustration every year. Because it's, just a way to say thank you to this, the city that we all show up to. I just feel like doing that. That's just a me thing there.
I think that's a
Wonderful.
wonderful thing to do.
Thank you. It's just like I said, this whole idea is for me is like paying it forward. So it just makes sense, as a tradition. I love that, we go to these new places and we always buy local stuff and we always hit up the shops and we let them know, like, hey, love it that you're here. Let me see what I can get. And also to take that and then donate and to just, for those who aren't less, it's good all around. It's good karma. It's good help, and it just,
Yes.
it's a wonderful thing.
It
So,
is.
so what led you to start the order?
So, I was in a different particular organization that I was seeing lots of potential with, but I wasn't in a position to really do anything that I could like move some of those potential projects forward. And I'd gotten to a point where I was like, I really feel like we need to do this, but like, how do I go about doing this? Like, how do I facilitate things if I don't have the control to facilitate it? So I'm like, well, eventually I was like, well, you're just gonna have to make your own order. And I mulled it over for a long time because I was like, I don't want anybody to think I'm stepping on toes or I'm doing anything weird or I'm trying to be funny, because it's just like it's to me, it's just like, you see work needs to be done, you just figure out a way to get it done, especially if it's important and especially if it means helping somebody else. So that was my whole thought. I'm like, okay, well, how do I do this? And I'm like, well, you can make your own order. and see how you can do it that way. And I'm like, okay. So that's when I started developing it. And then I finally, after letting the application sit for like a month and a half, I was like, all right, press send. And I did.
That's very good.
Yes.
You know, we always like to say progress over perfection. So when you see that something needs to be done, the best thing is to do it. And that's
And it's also,
exactly, yeah, exactly what we hope for.
it's
So
true.
yeah, what is the next thing that the order is planning to do?
So the next, well, hopefully we'll have some more service projects between now and this next really, really big thing. But lustration in 2028, not 27, but 28, so 2 years out, will actually be here in my hometown. Because so through the order, we're going to host Lustration 2028 in Iowa City. So that's the
How
next
exciting.
really big thing for us. So I'm excited about that. And you all get to see where I'm at and you get to see the little town. And it's a great town. It's very pedestrian friendly. The bus is free. So you can get anywhere you want in town for free all day. And it comes very, yeah, it's so much fun. I'm
That'll be
excited.
wonderful.
Yep. So many
Can't
good things
wait.
we're going to see. And of course, there's cemeteries. So we already know what's going to We already know we're going to go to the cemetery. Hmm.
Now, if people wanted to learn more about the Order of Civil Knights, where would you send them?
So I do have a Facebook page.
Learn more and maybe get involved.
Indeed.
Ebony, if people want to email you, where can they reach you at?
So to reach me by email, it is revebony@corellian.com. That is revebony at corellian.com.
All right, and that is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the order?
I just would like to reiterate the fact that it is open to anyone and that is looking for a place to use their special talents and expertise to help others in the community. If you've seen me before, I'm on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook directly by my name. Feel free to shoot me a message. And yeah, don't be afraid to just, if you feel something deep in your spirit to do something to serve, then by all means feel free, you know, just do your thing. There's never enough people out there that can be of service and inspiring and helpful. So always remember that.
Well,
All right.
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again next.
Rev Don's Book of Stones, Metals, and Crystals. Everything you always wanted to know about the magical and spiritual properties of stones, metals, and crystals in one book. Get your copy today at Corellian Publishing.
Rev Don's Book of Astrology. Everything you always wanted to know about the stars in one book. Get your copy today at CorellianPublishing.com.